recording the meeting, please? Thank you. So the meeting is being recorded. We do have a quorum present as confirmed by the clerk. So I will call the meeting to order at 6:10. Before we get started, I must read the governor's order. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 30A, section 18, and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people who may gather in one place. And additionally, the governor's order of June 2021. This meeting of the Freetown Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information, general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public can be found on the Freetown website, freetownma.gov. No in-person attendance of the members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings via real-time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website or YouTube channel an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay. So again, for those that are just joining us, you can follow along, go to the town's website, Boards and Committees, Conservation Commission. On the left-hand side, you'll see current filings. You can click on that and you have the ability to follow along that way. Some of these are in fact public hearings while they are open to the public for public questions and comments. Others are not. And I will let, doesn't mean I won't take comment, but public hearings I'm required to. So just to let everybody know. First on our agenda, we have a request for determination of applicability. This is for an address 142 Middleborough Road in East Freetown. The owner and applicant is Sally N. Twistle, and the scope of work is to septic system repair greater than 50 feet resource areas, closer than 50 feet resource areas, if I'm not mistaken. Do we have the applicant's representative here tonight? Is that Evan Watson?
I think it would be, but I don't know if he's going to be here or not.
Okay, well, if I would ask then everybody, I am familiar with this plan. I've seen it through the Board of Health a couple of times now. If you want to click on the septic repair plan, you can see I have in my travels gone out and have confirmed the wetland delineation. It's TOA slope, so it's pretty obvious. For those that may be unfamiliar with the site, this is located on the corner of Middleborough Road, aka Route 18, and Roundsville Drive, Mr. N. Twistle's house. They need to do a septic repair on it. So I was actually out there the day I had to locate a water line. I was actually out there the day they did the perk tests, and so I know that they had relatively good perks, and they were able to design a septic system in accordance with the rules and regulations for the Board of Health, and I made sure of that too. So if Evan's still not here, then I have no problem just moving forward with this. I would ask if anybody has any questions or comments relative to this project.
I'm good, Kevin.
No. All right, good, thank you. So that being said, and I will additionally state that this was a septic system that was in repair. Thankfully, the house was unoccupied for a bit of time, so there was no overflow issue, but had it stayed occupied, there would have been. So it's a good thing this is getting fixed now. So that being said, I will entertain a motion that we issue a negative determination that in fact it is within a buffer zone to a wetland or a resource area, but will not dredge, author, or fill. So no required filing of a notice of intent is necessary. So I entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support the gentleman's motion.
Thank you very much. Motion made, supported. If there's no further discussion on the motion, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. We have to do a roll call vote again. So Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Chris Mather. Chris, do you say aye or nay?
Aye.
Did we lose? Aye. Thank you, Chris. Kevin DeMar says aye. Roll call, unanimous vote. Again, keeping in mind, gentlemen, you can either, if you would want me to continue what we're doing before with the Zoom meetings, if you allow me to continue to sign for you, we can do it that way until we get back to doing the in-person. If not, then we'll hold on to them, and then you can come down and sign them.
I'm okay with you signing.
fine with that,
All
Kevin.
right. Great, thank you. Okay, so next on our agenda, we have a request for determination of applicability. This is for 8 Cove Lane in Assonet. The owner is George Franco, and the applicant, the scope of work is for a septic system upgrade within 100 feet of Assonet Bay and existing marsh. Do we have the applicant's engineer here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Niall Zager from Zenith.
Thank you, sir. Again, anybody wants to follow along, you can, on the website, it's the next item down under 142, if I'm not mistaken, so. Yeah, there it is.
Is there any, can I ask permission to share my screen?
You can absolutely share your screen, sir.
I just need the ability from the host, that's all.
Oh, you should have it now.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, everyone, I'm assuming can see that. So basically what we have is it's a septic repair off of Cove Lane. There's 3 different resource areas that we're concerned with here. We have an existing marsh across from Cove Lane, across from the property. We have Assonet Bay, which abuts the back rear of the property. There's an existing retaining wall in the rear of the property. And then we're also completely within flood zone AE 14, completely in that flood zone. Essentially what we have is an existing failed septic system that's located on the side of the home, and we're looking to replace it with a new compliant Title V septic system. We're proposing a Presby septic system. We're proposing a Presby septic system to be compliant with Title V. It entails a 1,500 gallon septic tank and 140 feet of Presby pipe. We were able to do this without having to do a pump system. And we've basically wrapped the entire work area, limit of work within erosion control silt sock with the details shown. And we were able to also stay over 10 feet from the water service that's also there as well. So everything's kind of crunched in there. There are a couple large trees that are going to have to come down to make this happen, but essentially what we're doing is we're keeping this thing as far away from the resource areas as possible. We're at a minimum of 50 feet from the marsh and close to, I believe 70 or 80 feet from the bay, and completely within the flood zone, like I stated. So we feel as though it's a huge improvement from the existing, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
Is it in failure now?
Yes, it is, sir.
Yeah, okay. And the reason you're going with a Presby?
Just better treatment. Allows a little bit smaller of a reduction, better venting. Just honestly, we just like it as a company. We like it as a better system.
Yeah. No, and Niles, I'm not questioning your means and methodology. What I am doing is asking a question to educate people and myself as to why you would choose in this instance this style and type. That's all. And so it's got a reduced footprint and better treatment, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And it also allows a reduction into the water table with this system because of the treatment. So that is another reason as well that the Board of Health has granted.
All right. Perfect. For those that are familiar with the area, this is halfway down Cove Lane. This is another one. I was actually out there marking out the water line the day they did the perk test, and your perk tests weren't too bad, right?
It was all sand.
You couldn't dig all. Right. So that's helpful down there, which the rest of the island is. But so the wetland is exactly where it's on there. It's pretty straightforward. One side of the road is all wetland. The other side has got a house lot and then all wetland. So I take no exception from that either. Anybody from the board have any questions or comments on this?
I'm good, Kevin.
Perfect. All right. If nobody has anything, then I will say this. I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative determination that the area is in a buffer zone to a resource area, but will not dredge, alter, or fill a resource area. So no notice of intent is required.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion made, supported. If there's any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, signify by saying aye. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Chris Mather.
Aye.
Chris Mather, aye. Kevin Damaris, aye. Motion passes unanimous. Again, Niles, just bear with us, and we're down on staff, so Chris here is helping us out. So we'll try to get this stuff done and taken care of as quickly as we can. We'll let you know when everything's written up and signed, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sure thing. Have a great night.
You as well. Take care.
All right. Yep, bye now. Nils, do we have anything that's asking to be continued for tonight? Number 6, is it number 7 and number 8?
I'm just pulling up the agenda.
Yeah,
Yes.
that would be the Simmons Street and both of the SciTech, right?
Yep.
Okay. So folks don't have to sit here. I probably should have done this before, but items number 7 and number 8, I will call those both back to order. They are both a continued notice of intent public hearing for a project at 0 Simmons Street and for 2325 Gurney Road. They're both for notice of intent for solar arrays to be installed. The applicant is currently within peer review. What does that mean? We send it out to a review engineer at the applicant's expense to review it for in conformity with our rules and regulations and the State Wetlands Protection Act. So the applicant has asked for a continuance to our next meeting so that they can continue with the peer review process and going back and forth with that. We have to make a decision tonight on when we're going to have our next meeting. So today is the 14th. 2 weeks time. Well, what are we looking at? August 2nd? Is that what we said, Chris?
Yes, and the Council on Aging were reserved, or scheduled that we could have a meeting there.
On August 2nd on the Council on Aging, because
Yes.
that would be in conflict with the selectmen who are meeting on August 2nd at the police station, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Okay. All right, good. Can everybody make August 2nd on the board?
I can, Kevin.
Okay. Chris?
I should be, and again, if I can't make it in person, I can always call in, so yes.
Yeah. If we have a physical quorum, then yes, you can call in, or if not, then we'd have to schedule it by Zoom, but I need to know that tonight. So here's what we're gonna do. We'll continue it. I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing till, Charlie, you'd said 6 o'clock works, right, for you?
Yes, that'd be fine.
Yeah. All right, so to 6 o'clock, August 2nd, at the Freetown Senior Center. And if need be, we have a physical quorum. Chris, we can have you call in if you can't be here. So
That'd be great.
I'll entertain that all right, I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support
you.
the motion.
Motion's made and supported. If there's any further discussion on the motion, I do. I apologize. Was there anybody here for this project or an abutter for this project that had any questions relative to the process? Okay, if not, then I have no other discussion on the motion. I'll call the vote. All in favor of continuing it to August 2nd at the Senior Center at 6 o'clock, say aye. A roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Chris Mather.
Aye.
Chris Mather, aye. Kevin Damaris, aye. Motion passes unanimous. Okay, thank you, folks. Next on our agenda, we have item number 3. It's a continued notice of intent public hearing. I will call back to order. This is for a project located at 67 Chase Road in East Freetown. The applicant is Alan Alves and TJA Clean Energy.
It's a big change from 25.
Chris Mather. You can't hear us.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Okay. We could hear you a little bit going back and forth there.
Oh, I apologize.
No,
that's
that's all right. No, star 6 to mute. I've made the mistake several times myself. So I will call that back to order. This is again for the installation of solar panels and related infrastructure work. So do we have somebody here from ET Engineering Enterprises?
Hello. Yeah, this is Andy Sargent from ET Engineering. Can you hear me?
Yes, Andy. How are you, sir?
Great. How are you?
Good, thank you. I understand Azu is double booked tonight, so he sent you in his stead.
Yeah, you let me know about a half hour ago, so
Okay.
I'll do my best to get us started here.
Yeah. So let me I want to just, again, remind everybody, this is a public hearing. How this works is typically we allow the applicant to make some sort of presentation. After that, we would open it up to questions from the general public or interested parties and the board. Most oftentimes, and what's going to be in this case is this is still under current peer review. So this is I've asked the applicant to make some sort of rudimentary presentation relative to what their intents are. And in fairness to the process, I'd much rather do this in open meeting. I'm sorry, not open meeting, but in person. So I think we'll get into it more at our next meeting once we get some peer review done also. So that being said, if you want to follow along we have, again, on our website, these plans would be the off Chipaway Road. I'm sorry, the 67 Chase Road plans. It says, it'll say plans. You can click on that, download the PDF, and you've got the entire plan set there. So I would ask this, Andy, if you're going to be referring to any of the plan sets or sheets, if you would just be so kind as to let us know the sheet number so we could follow along.
Sure. So there's basically two projects. Are we talking about item number 3 and item number 4 on the agenda? I'm not sure which way they were listed.
Well, they're listed. Okay, so item number 3, Andy, is the 67 Chase Road. Okay, and these are two separate public hearings. So while they're enjoined or co-joined, if you will, to a certain degree, they are individual projects. So we're going to start with the 67 Chase Road, and then we'll move on to the off Chipaway Road one.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
So for the 67 Chase Road project, it's on about 150-acre site. It has active cranberry bogs on it and some sand and gravel mining operations. A lot of the upland forested sections had been previously harvested in the past. And actually, there's an 18-acre solar farm. There's actually 2 of them that cover about 18 acres. They're on the eastern portion of that site. The project that we are looking to is just to install, it's about a 9.5 megawatt solar farm in basically 3 distinct regions. And they're defined as areas G1, G2, and G3 on the plans. So if you can see on the sheets, basically, let me see.
It's sheet number C3 is going to have those individual areas called out.
Yeah. So C3 is kind of an index sheet. It shows all of them lined up, and then if you go down to sheets 4, that's like specific to G1. Sheet 5 would be for G2, and then so on. So if you look at the sheets, the proposed arrays and the site work and the fencing that goes around it and the gravel paths and tree clearing, the closest that stuff is proposed to getting to the wetlands is we try to maintain at least a 25-foot buffer. There is a couple of spots because these arrays have to be interconnected to each other, and then ultimately they have to make it out to Chase Road. There's a bunch of existing cart paths that run across the site, and some of these cart paths, the wetlands comes right up to it on either side of it, and same thing with the river. And so the only part of the work that we're proposing to be closer than 25 feet to the wetlands is just where there's either going to be an overhead wire run along a cart path to kind of cross those sections, or most of the wiring is going to be proposed to be underground wiring, but the only place we're going to go overhead is, where you are just so close to the wetlands there. There's a couple of culverts that are existing there now that let the water get from one side to the other, and you're not going to put the conduits through that. So in those sections, we'll have the overhead wiring.
Andy, those bog roads, they've traditionally been used to access and maintain the existing cranberry bogs that are out there, correct?
Yep, yep, and
Yeah,
they're, yep,
okay.
and they're still in use. And then there's also on, I guess, the western part of the site, there's, if you look at sheets C4 and C5, there's cart paths that go sort of in through that area there, and that area there has all been, it's an existing gravel pit, and all the soil's been removed, you know what I mean? And so there's not
that's
a
the-
lot of vegetation.
So
there.
that's
Yeah.
the gravel pit area where they have an active soil permit through, is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
I'll
where
tell
the
you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just looked at the plan. It is. Yep, okay.
it's the soils in this area are all very, very sandy. We did dozens of test pits out there, and it's all really clean, medium and fine sands. And so the stormwater management designed for this allows for all of the rainwater that falls on the array to stay in the array. So there's not going to be any off-site flows due to the creation of this project.
So current conditions do not have any off-site flows, so you're going to continue with current conditions.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yep.
Because and I'm gonna say this just in general, and I'm sorry, Andy, it's a big project, and I don't want to keep cutting you off, but I lose my train of thought sometimes, and so I'd rather say what's on the tip of my tongue. I'm noticing that it's called out that there's a river area, and you've got the 100 and 200 riverfront area called out. I can tell you that during peer review that is going to be looked at. So I hope you understand your obligation under the Rivers Protection Act, alternatives analysis, and all the other things. Now, I don't know with solar, we've never had, I don't think, a situation where the Rivers Protection Act has come into play, so I don't know if there are any exemptions. But at the end of the day, you can expect that our peer review is going to review this for that specifically, the activity within in the riverfront area and the adherence to the Rivers Protection Act and everything that goes along with it, along with the rest of the stormwater management on the site. So,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. And being such a large site, and there's actually quite a few rivers on there. There's a very extensive riverfront area, and you are allowed to develop up to 10% of that. And most of the work that is proposed within the riverfront area is it's in between the 100 and 200 foot area there.
Yeah, I see that, and Andy, just to hear me out, and for everybody's listening, I'm not claiming that it doesn't meet the criteria. What I am claiming is we need to make sure that it does, and that we're going to ask for proof. And it sounds like you've already done some of that work as part of the filing. So that's fine. We all need to be cognizant of that. That's all.
Oh, sure. Sure. Yep.
Okay. So again, folks, this is out for peer review. I know it's difficult. People looking at these plans online. We're going to be in person next meeting, as far as I know, and that's what we're planning on. So if it seems a little bit disjointed, well, quite frankly, it is. So I will, at this point in time, I'll open it up to anybody or any interested parties to questions, and I will politely remind everybody that the questions for this board, we only deal with, and our authority only lies under the Wetlands Protection Act, which includes the Rivers Protection Act. So relative to noise, lighting, traffic, that kind of deal, that's under the planning board's purview. We're just concerned about the activity relative to the Wetlands Protection Act. So does anybody have any questions or comments from the general public or interested parties? And if you do, just get our clerk's attention, politely say, excuse me, whatever, state your name, and go ahead and ask the question.
Excuse me, this is Kathy Rigo. And my
Hi,
question
Kathy.
is, my question is, what are the conservation restrictions as far as endangered species? Are there endangered species that presently live in this area, on these bogs, in this land?
Mhm.
And who's
That's a
watching
very
out for that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And so I can tell you procedurally, they're required, the applicant is required to notify through the natural heritage if it's been called out that this in fact is endangered species. There is a map that of the state that shows where there's endangered species or potential habitat for that. They're required through the notice of intent filing to notify natural heritage, and then they would be the ones to impose further restrictions oftentimes, or at minimum, ask us to impose restrictions, and they would be the ones that would be looking out for that. So that's procedurally. Andy, could you speak specifically? I know I'm putting you on the spot. This is not your project. This was a zoo's, but could you speak to that issue, please?
Yes. So, looking at the Mass GIS maps and the National Heritage maps that they have, the latest ones have been published. We've reviewed that site, and the endangered species estimated habitats do not exist on the site or near the site. I think the closest one, this was thinking a while back, but I think the closest one might have been maybe a half mile away.
Okay. All right. And of course, Kathy, when this gets reviewed for completeness and through our peer review, they will confirm that information that has been provided by the applicant for that.
Okay, so what is the, I know, I'm not sure if you know the answer to this, but if the maps, which I'm going to review, I wasn't aware of the natural heritage maps, but if there's endangered species within so many feet or so many miles or so many acres, I mean, is there restrictions, or is this something I need to research on my own and find out?
You asked quite a few questions, and I'm going to try to answer all of them for you. Okay.
Yep.
So you asked. Well, let me just. I'll tell it like this. I can tell you this, that the maps that are put out for estimated and potential and habitat oftentimes include large areas and is the word conservative, but they are conservative with in mind that they would rather say that more area than less that actually has these endangered species. So if you're asking what's the means and methodology, how do they decide where to put the lines on the map and how close and how far, that I don't know, and that might be a question for the natural heritage themselves.
Okay.
On how they come up with that data. I'm assuming that it's field data, that they've gone out, they've had historical data, so, and it's not just animals, it's flora and fauna, so it's plants and animals too. I can tell you just from personal experience, oftentimes they just put on there that is an estimated habitat, but they will not tell you what the actual, whether it's, I think they'll discern between plant or animal, but oftentimes they won't even tell me what the animal is that they're trying to protect. It's very strange until they get it and they review it, and then they'll come back with their information. So I really don't know how they determine where those lines go. You know, is it X amount of findings within a certain amount of feet or miles, to your point? That I don't know. I just know that is the template for which we must use to apply the Wetlands Protection Act. Now, I would imagine if we were given, or there was evidence, overt and obvious evidence that there are, endangered species living within habitat, then I would think natural heritage would want to hear about that. And I think that, something would probably need to be done at that point in time.
Okay.
Was there any other parts of your question, Kathy, that I didn't answer or that would be more appropriately answered by Andy? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you answered it. I feel like I'm going to need to do some research because I'm concerned about these, the box turtle and the salamanders that we have that I thought were on the endangered species site, but I'm not sure about, endangered species list, but I'm not sure where in the map, they would fall.
Okay, and so your question is whether those things are actually endangered or not. They may very well be, and where they fall on the map. So, yeah,
Right, yeah, and how
we-
close, what's the parameters for how close they can
Sure.
put the solar farm if there's endangered species, that have a nest 2 feet from
yep.
where they're putting things up.
Which is why natural heritage exists, and I can tell you unequivocally, we have had major projects altered due to their comment and due to the existence of endangered or potentially endangered species habitat. Doesn't mean that the project is a no-go. It just means that they have to do certain things, provisions for turtles and other things. So
Right.
So yes, very good questions. That we can help try to get you some information on that. So if you want to ask the questions through the Conservation Commission, email us that way. If there's information we can provide for you, I'd be happy to make sure that we can get that to you.
All right, great, thank you.
Sure.
Hi,
Does
I have
anybody-
a question.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Amanda Buckley. Hi, Kathy. So I just wanted to know, when can we expect the Natural Heritage Committee to check out that site to make us aware of if there are any of these plant, fauna, or endangered species? When can we expect them on that site to do their inspection?
Well, I don't know that that's how it works. You'd have to ask them. That we don't work. They are and by the way, they are a quasi-governmental site agency. Okay, so they don't work directly for state government or municipal government. We don't have much, which is why they can operate the way they do. And I think they're necessary to this process. So those are questions for natural heritage. What I do know, and Andy, please speak to this. I'm going to stop talking on this. Is that you're required to notify them? Are you not as certified mail?
So on the notice of intent, there's a couple of sheets that you fill out regarding the national heritage data, and you essentially consult the published maps that they had. I think the most recent one was from August 2017. That's the current map that shows different areas with the estimated habitats. We check those, and if they're far away, like they are in this case here, there's no reason to submit an NOI to the National Heritage folks, because the National Heritage folks have said that essentially that they're not there. They're not at this particular spot. They have them mapped in one particular area or other areas. I don't know if I said that clear enough, but basically, if it's not shown on our site, we don't notify them.
All right, so I'm going to oversimplify this. If the proposed project, and this is any project within the town or the state, does not fall in an area that has been identified on the Natural Heritage map as being a potential or existing habitat, then you are not required to file a notice of intent with them, operating under the assumption that the map that they have provided to us, they have done the research and they are identifying the areas, and that is the most up-to-date map that we have to go by, right? So I think to answer Amanda and Kathy's part of your question is, if it's not identified on this official map, then you are not required to file a notice of intent. And it would be implied that if the Natural Heritage did not identify this particular area on their map, that they have not identified it and are not requiring people to notify them of activity. So hopefully that gives you somewhat of a general. If you want a more specific answer, again, we could try to get you the information for Natural Heritage. Chris, if we can, I don't know if we have it in electronic form. If we don't, or if we do, can we get it up on the website just in general on the Concom side? If not, maybe we can contact them ourselves and see if we can't get one in a PDF form, so we can do that. But other than that, if you want to, you're going to have to contact them directly to find out their means and methodology and how they go about doing it and that. Do you have any other questions, anybody?
So, Amanda Buckley again. So I have a very deep concern. Not sure that it's appropriate for this meeting, but perhaps you can direct me to the meeting where it would be appropriate. I'd like to know how they're converting the AC the DC energy into AC energy, what type of converters they're using, how much electromagnetic radiation is being produced, and how that's going to increase the amount of background radiation to not only the wetlands and the conservation land and the plants and the fauna and the animals, but also the humans who have to live next to this.
Well, as far as this board, Andy, I'm going to say this in general because this is obviously running concurrently with the planning board, right? So you've heard this this woman's question tonight, and I don't know if you're prepared to give us a detailed answer, but what I'm going to ask and request of you is if whatever cut sheets, information, general information relative to the type of equipment that you're using on site, relative to those specific questions that she had asked, if we can get information specific to that for our meetings, whether it's planning board or Concom, so that we could forward that information off, or at least make that information available on our website to folks. We'd like to have that at our next meeting if we could.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So we do the site development. The electrical engineer would have to speak to what the kind of.
Well, right. So you're working for Mr. Alves, if I'm not mistaken, and he's the proponent. He wants to put up solar. Well, if he wants to put up solar, then he should make sure that he can get some information relative to this. Now, I will say this in general, that solar arrays have been installed all over the country. They're going to see more of them. They're going to be required, I think, going in the near future with subdivisions that are being done. It's just the way we're going. And I know that these things have gotten tremendously safer over the years. I also know that there should be information out there that speaks to that. So all I'm saying is if the applicant wants to provide us with that information, that would be very good. That would be helpful. Okay.
Sure. That sounds good.
All right.
I mean,
So,
just to say again, so the Ukrainians told the people in Chernobyl that the nuclear reactors were
Amanda, we're talking about a Wetlands Protection Act project here in Freetown. I apologize, but
no, that's fine. I'm just trying
I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you're saying. You're passionate about this, and I talked to you earlier today for quite some time, and I know you're passionate about this and you care about this, and so what I'm hearing is you asking a question, and I'm trying to get this information for you, and so let's get that information and see where we're at with it.
Perfect.
We operate. Oftentimes we operate, particularly with the Wetlands Protection Act, we have rules and regulations that we operate under and certain performance standards. And a lot of times if those are met, then oftentimes we are obligated to give a permit, not just wholesale give away to farm, but if they meet certain standards, we have to. If not, we run the risk of having our decisions appealed, removing local authority completely. It goes to the DEP for a superseding order of conditions, and it's not the same process, and there's not the same input locally. So we try to hold their feet to the fire, but at the same time, working within the law. Do you have any other questions or any more information that you'd like to get?
Not at this time. I will definitely be speaking to my neighbors about the possible background radiation issues that this is going to cause to us. But thank you for your help tonight.
Okay. And if you have anything in the meantime, you think of something, you want to forward it off to the board, to the email address, we can also forward those questions or comments and concerns to the applicant so that when they come, they can be better prepared to answer some of your potential questions. All right. Anybody else have any questions on this project right now? Again, this project is in its infancy. We're just started peer review, where they go out and they review the delineation. They review everything for the stormwater management. There are obligations of the applicant to meet the certain standards under stormwater management. We make sure that they do that too. And everything else that goes along with the requirements of the Wetlands Protection Act. So this will certainly not be solved at this meeting or even the next meeting. So if we don't have any other questions or comments on this particular project, then I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to, we said it was the second, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, August 2nd,
August 2nd.
August 2nd, 6 PM at the Freetown Council on Aging.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's made and supported. If there's no, is there any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Chris Mather.
Aye.
Chris Mather, aye. Kevin Damaris, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Next on our agenda, item number 4, excuse me, we have a continued notice of intent. I'll call back to order. This is a public hearing for a proposed solar array. This is it's the off Chipaway Road, Andy. And this is the applicant's Chipaway Corporation, Andy Sargent, the representative. This is again for solar panel installation. So I've called the public hearing back to order. We'll allow the applicant to make a presentation. You can follow along. Again, folks, this would be the off Chipaway Road set of plans. And you can follow along. And if you would, Andy, same thing as before. If you're going to refer to a plan sheet, if you can just tell us the name, the title or the number, so we can follow along.
Sure. So just like on the previous project, sheet 3 shows a general index of all the layout of the entire site. And then if you move on to sheets 4, 5, and 6, that shows the individual arrays in more detail. So this site here, this site is about 420 acres. There's 2 parcels. One is a kind of a landlocked parcel that you'll see on sheet 3. It's just a small like hexagon in the middle there. So basically, this site is mostly covered by quite a bunch of cranberry bogs and previously timber harvested forests. Access to the site is through Chase Road and also from Chipaway Road. So in this project, we're proposing to install a 10 megawatt solar farm, 3 distinct regions. They're areas A, B, and C. And they're shown on sheets 4, 5, and 6. There's a lot of existing cart paths around the site, and the interconnection for all these between the arrays mostly is going to be underground again, except in places where it will cross a river, then it will be overhead wiring. So all the site work again is proposed at a maximum of 25 feet setback from the wetlands. In many places, it's not even that close. As opposed to the other project, almost all the entire array and the major site development features, they're all outside of the riverfront area. So they're all beyond 200 feet. The only place where it is in between 200 feet within the riverfront area is just where the interconnection lines will be running along the existing car paths. Stormwater, the soils are the same, and so they're very sandy with high permeability, so no flows are projected to go off-site on this here. I think that's all I have to say about this for now.
Okay.
If you have any questions.
Yeah, I've got a question. The cranberry bogs, are they going to remain active?
That I am not sure. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Well, maybe we can just get that information for the next meeting.
Sure.
Maybe a zoo knows. Maybe the property owner will be at the next meeting. I don't know.
Okay.
So I was just curious. I will say, I think it was a planning board public hearing. We asked specifically about access, and we were told that most of it is going to be, or all of it actually, we're going to be coming off of Chase Road, not off of Chipaway.
Yep.
So, if
so
that's
right
changed,
now,
yeah.
Sorry, no, just right now, there's just an easement across another parcel to get from Chipaway Road, where just the interconnection route, so these panels will connect to the electrical power on Chipaway Road, but the access to construct these things and to maintain the solar arrays will ultimately come from Chase Road.
Okay. All right. Again, not much to do with this, but I just, for those folks that might have been at the other meeting and heard something differently, I wanted to clarify that. Okay. So again, folks, this is the same thing. It's going to go under rigorous peer review for many of the items that you mentioned earlier, and for compliance with the Stormwater Management and Wetlands Protection Act. So at this time, I will open it up to any interested parties or for any questions. And if you have any, you can just get our attention, politely say, excuse me, what have you. I think, Andy, why don't we, I'll ask a question, because earlier in the day, I spoke with somebody, and at our last planning board meeting, I spoke with Amanda earlier, but at our last planning board meeting, we had an individual that asked specifically about how far away from those individual house lots there that are, or houses that are on Chipaway, and I don't see it, I don't know what plan set it's on, but I think you should have given us, or maybe it was just provided the planning board because it's not really a Conservation Commission issue. But I think there was some questions today relative to the distance from the closest proposed array to the back property lines, and then, maybe to the houses on Chipaway Road. And I'm just trying to see if we have that information on here, but I can tell you, well,
you won't find it on this plan set here.
Because it's not right. That was the planning board.
I had made a different set so that a zoo could bring to the meeting, for the planning board meeting, that showed the distances to each houses. In general, most of the distances are in excess of 700 feet, and many are much further than that.
Okay, and again, another one of the questions or concerns was that there's a large wetland behind those houses and those lots there, and there was concern that activity was going to happen within the wetlands and clearing and drilling, and is any of that being proposed?
No, there's no activity proposed in wetlands itself, and actually that array there, if you look on, let me see, what's the best sheet C6, you can see on the buffer there's a blue line which shows a 50-foot setback from the wetlands, and you can see on the southerly edge, which faces that wetland closest to Chipaway Road, we're much further than 50 feet on the southern side of all those. In some places, probably even 75 feet is the closest the disturbance would be to the wetlands.
And I think it's a two-part concern, right? Because obviously, one concern is you're filling in wetlands. What are we going to do to mitigate that? And two, I think it's another, how much and how far, what's the distance and how far of a buffer, and is the wetlands going to stay contiguous? Are we messing with anything within there? And what the plans show, and now what we've had to say on record, is that there is no intent, that entire wetland area and that vegetated buffer is not going to be touched at all, correct?
Exactly. That's correct.
Okay. All right. Does anybody, I can tell you this, that the Conservation Commission, and I may offer this up to the planning board also if they want to go, we're more than likely, given the accessibility to a lot of this area, given that there is existing wood roads, more than likely going to want to schedule an inspection to go out there for planning board, or excuse me, Conservation Commission members. Will invite planning board if they want to go. I know our review engineers and their wetland specialists will be out there, but we are probably going to want, given this area, and how big it is and all, I just think it would be helpful for us to get out there just to get a sense of the project and the lay of the land. Does anybody have any other questions or comments or concerns that they would like to speak about? Okay. I'm going to ask the question. I know these are very closely, and you answered it beforehand, but this is a different public hearing. This area, according to the maps, is not located within an estimated or priority habitat of endangered species, right?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay. If there are no other questions or comments, anybody from the board have any comments? Is the board in agreement? We should get out there probably an opportunity to take a look at the property and the parcel so we have a greater understanding of the lay of the land. Everybody good with that?
I'm good with it, Kevin. I didn't
All right.
hear if you said a time.
No, I didn't set a date or a time. We're going to obviously want to do this with the engineer or their wetland people. So there's going to have to be some communication and coordination. What works best for people? Saturday mornings, does that work good? Friday afternoons, does that work good? Charlie, you're retired, so you're going to tell me any time's good.
I'm kind of flexible, all except for the
All right.
last week in July right now.
Okay. Why don't I look to do it on like a Friday afternoon or something? Why don't I see if I can't get Andy, whether it's you or Zoo, whoever it is. We're going to probably want to get out there sometime to take a look at the site and all. So we'll reach out to you to see about what Friday would be good for all of us.
Okay, that would be good.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, then I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for the off Chipaway Road proposed solar array to August 2nd, 6 o'clock at the Freetown Council on Aging. I need that motion.
So moved.
Need a second? I'll second it. Motion's made and supported. There's no further discussion on the motion. Hearing none. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan,
Aye.
Chris Mather. You have a bad connection. Kevin Damaris, aye. Chris, where are you, buddy? Did we lose him? Did he get knocked off or something?
He's still here. He's muted though.
Oh, unmute.
Yes, I'm here. My phone is not behaving well tonight.
All right, so I need, I'm sorry. So we made a motion to continue the public hearing, as you heard, to August 2nd. So I just, if you would like to vote on that.
Yes, I would like to support the motion.
Okay. All right, we made the motion, seconded it, and you've, Charlie's voting the affirmative. I voted the affirmative. You're voting in the affirmative now? I'm losing track. So you say yes to that. Did I hear him say yes?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, motion's made and carried. We continue to August 2nd. Thank you. God bless us. I love Zoom. Continue notice of intent, 32 Middleborough Road, East Freetown. I will call that back to order. This was a notice of intent filed for a proposed solar array located at 32 Middleborough Road, which is really the end of Claremont Way. So now I've called that back to order just to give a brief update. The planning board has approved the plans at their last meeting, and I think that the applicant was waiting to see if the planning board was going to ask them to make any more changes before we gave them a final determination. So do we have anybody here from CVE Solar? We do not have anybody here from CVE Solar. Oh, there we go. Hi.
Good evening. This is Chris King with Atlantic Design Engineers. How are you guys this evening?
Good, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right.
Very succinct summary. I'll keep my presentation brief just to bring everyone up to date. Since the last time we met with the commission, we had couple minor outstanding comments from EPG, which we were able to resolve in the latest plan set submitted to the commission, which just basically specified which type of erosion controls we were using and where. And then we had as Kevin alluded to, the planning board, we met with them last night successfully, had a site walk with them, met with the abutter, Frank Ashley, and had agreed to adding a condition of approval as part of the planning board approval, which would just basically specify means and methods of promoting or trying to add as much recharge through any restrictive layer we may find in and around the basin area. So from a Wetlands Protection Act and the local bylaw standpoint, I believe it's documented. We have the EPG sign off on the stormwater, and we meet all the criteria of approval under both regulations and the act. I will leave it up to the commission, but I believe that the fact that we are adding that condition to the planning board decision is really, you know, adding the mechanism, if you will, of enforcement. I don't think we need to be redundant and add it to the order of conditions, but if the commission feels that that's appropriate, we would be certainly amenable to that. We're working up the language and we'll be providing that to the town by the end of the week. And so that could easily be adopted as well. But again, I think that's a little bit redundant. At that, I will end my presentation and open it up to the commission if you have any questions for us.
Okay. Yes, to affirm what Mr. King had stated, planning board had asked the applicant to look at, they meet the stormwater management. There's no, they meet the criteria. EPG has signed off on that. We understand that. There was a local level concern that there may be some underlying factors that people didn't know about. And what do I mean? That there may in fact be a layer of clay that would prohibit in some areas percolation to take place, and what could potentially cause an issue. While their test pits do not show that, what they have agreed to and through a narrative is that should they encounter layers of clay that would make their proposed measures useless, well, I shouldn't say useful, but not as useful, they would then, in concert with planning board and in concert with the review engineer, do something to mitigate that. And what do I mean? One of the examples was they have a detention pond. One of the concerns was that the detention pond there, that below that there's a layer of clay, that the water, rather than passing through, would hit that layer of clay and then daylight somewhere else unintended downstream and cause an effect to a downstream neighbor. They've agreed to, and now again, their work doesn't show that. They've dug test pits and it does not show that up to 10 feet. But in fact, if while during construction they do encounter that, they have offered that they would do something, that they would punch through that clay layer with a pipe, perforated, whatever it is, surrounded by a stone, and that would allow the water in the bottom of the detention basin to migrate through that pipe and then be released into the sandy, loamy layer underneath and not get trapped there. Again, EPG at the meeting last night was amenable to that, at least while they were there in person. The planning board was certainly amenable with that. Again, we are requiring it now because it's kind of a condition, but it's a requirement that goes above and beyond what the stormwater management criteria requires. So that was done to reflect the concerns of, to your point, all three Ashleys, Frank, and John, who's this project abuts their property. So that I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that that is what happened, and that is the mitigating measures that they have offered to do. Additionally, if they found that they would offer some additional infiltration trenches, if you will, up gradient to help should it. They've already proposed some that they're going to install. If there's a need, again, depending on perk tests, if or the site does that, again, that's going to be under the direction and supervision or inspection of Environmental Partners Group to help. And we've conditioned a couple, if not a few now, similarly, because the alternative is to have them go in there, do all the work to cut all these trees down and all, to go out there and do that before we even give an approval. And sometimes, you know, they would just need a separate approval through Concom just to go out and do that work. So we've done that. We've done that before, and it's in harmony with what the planning board is requiring too. So I guess I agree. It would be a bit redundant. But at the same time, I mean, if you're going to have it to us, you know, it's going to be in the planning board one, and that's really going to be the permit of record at the end of the day, relative to all these things for zoning purposes. Because if you don't do it on that, it's a zoning violation. So if it's required. So does anybody from the general public have any questions? Any abutters have any questions or comments? No. They've been going to the planning board meetings mostly. They did go to a few Concom, but it does seem, while it might, not everybody is 100% happy over there, I think at least people appreciate the fact that they've done some off-site mitigation, and they're doing some other mitigation here to offset a potential issue. It doesn't appear to be one right now, given the design and all. So. All right, nothing from the board. Okay, that being, yep. All right, that being said, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make
I'll
that
make the
motion.
motion.
Motion's been made. Do I get a second?
Yes.
I'll second. Whatever.
Excellent. No, this is great. This is great. Motion made, supported. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Chris Mather.
Aye.
Chris Mather, aye. Kevin Demaris, aye. Public hearing portion is closed. Gentlemen, we've had this project in front of us for a while. I think most of the meat and potatoes of this have been done under the planning board. There is not a significant impact to the wetlands as such. And I think more of the concerns were actually just of overland flow relative to stormwater management, not necessarily the impacts to the existing wetlands on site. We did ask them to take a look at the culvert and make some improvements. Charlie, you were on that inspection with me.
Right.
And they have come back and offered that. They presented that information to us already. At this point in time, I don't know how much more that the Conservation Commission has to do here. They've met and or exceeded in the standards by which we judge things. So if we have no other questions or comments, then I'll entertain a motion that we approve the most recent plans as submitted. Chris, forgive me. What's the plan set date? No, I'm sorry. I'm asking Chris King.
Okay.
I got too many Chris's on the line here.
I'm sorry, I was confused for a second there.
No. Hey, listen.
You know what? I don't have it in front of me. I know
All right,
Nick
hold
Cleany's
on,
on the
hold on.
line with
Chris.
Atlantic.
Chris, it's June 10th, 2021.
June-
This is Nick with Atlantic.
Thank you,
I
Nick.
gotta say, I think that I gotta say I was gonna pull it up. It's the June 10th one, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, then I'll entertain a motion that we approve the plans as submitted as the June 10th, 2021 revision. That we approve the plans as submitted.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
And I'll support the gentleman's motion.
Thank you. Motion made and supported. If there's no further discussion on the motion, hearing none, signify, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Roll call vote, Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Chris Mather.
Aye.
Chris Mather, aye. Kevin Demaris, aye. Motion passes unanimous. Gentlemen, thank you, and ladies from CBE. I don't know who, don't have the luxury of seeing who all's on a thing. I know, again, this is a long, drawn-out process. I know oftentimes we ask you to do things that you might not have thought to be critical or crucial to the project, but at the end of the day, I think it makes it a better project for not only the applicant, but for some of the abutters around there. So I do appreciate you working with us. And so, again, give us a little bit of time on this. We need to get the draft written up, the approval written up and signed and all. And again, working with no staff, you might have to give us a few days to get that done, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you everyone for your time as well. Pleasure working with you. And I agreed. I think it turned out to be a better project for everybody involved. If you guys need any help with the language of the conditions, feel free to reach out and we can resend those. But I believe we've sent them in one way, shape, or form throughout the process. But I know it's been spread out. So if you want to condense consolidate it and make it easy, because I know Chris is stepping in.
Yeah, since you offered, why don't you go ahead and do that? That'd be great. If rather than us having to go back and cherry pick all these things that we've already talked about, if you want to give us that list, as long as it represents the very same things that we had already talked about, and obviously we'll check that. But that would be great. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too now. Okay. Next on our agenda, we have a continued notice of intent public hearing that I will call back to order. This is for 41 Water Street. Applicant is Mr. Grisot, SNR Flint Realty Trust. North Country Group is the representative of the applicant, and the scope of work is construction of a single-family house with garage and barn. And this is another one of those deals. So I called that back to order. Again, if you want to follow along, we have on the 41 Water Street, it's on our website, the town's website, on the Conservation Commission current filings. It's the first one on the agenda. So this is one that's gone on for a while. I know a lot of changes back and forth. I know we had concerns from the abutters. My understanding is on two fronts. One is that you've told us that they seem satisfied. We have not heard anything else from them. They haven't been at any meetings. Are they at tonight's meeting? Jeff or Lori? No. Well, then they went from going to every meeting and bringing their lawyer to not coming. So it sounds like that between everybody, we've done a decent job, and it sounds like that they've been, at least their concerns were addressed. So that's good. Adam, did I hear your voice? No?
Adam's not here, but it's Maria.
Oh, Maria is.
Yeah.
Hi, Maria. Maria's here from Environmental Partners Group. Again, I don't have the luxury of seeing all the boxes because I'm following on the computer here. So, all right, you're here. So, and is it John D'Souza? Are you here for the applicant?
I am.
I'm trying to remember. I thought I heard your voice earlier, John. All right. So, if I'm not mistaken, we're pretty close to the end of this thing, right? We've gone back and forth. The Rivers Protection Act. You had to move some things. You had to give some more information. If either one of you two want to just give us, well, John, why don't you give us just a brief update? Where does this project stand relative to review, and where are we?
So at the last hearing that we had, which was approximately 2 months ago, you guys closed the public input portion of the project, and the reason why it wasn't closed out at the hearing was because you couldn't find the upload onto the town's website, which actually it was there, and I found it, but I couldn't get back into the meeting to let you know on it.
Yeah, we were going sideways fast that night, John, with the Zoom stuff too. I don't know. There's only been a couple meetings that we had difficulties.
Right. And at that point, we had satisfied the concerns of the neighbor. I went out there, met with him a few times, and we resolved all the issues with a wall and everything else. And we actually are moving our wall off of that wall by 2 feet, and we're doing only one course on that area. We ended up resolving all the issues on that part of it. I know that on the review side, what happened was I believe that Adam wanted to review any of the Army Corps filings and all that, and I believe stepping over the bounds, because if we need an Army Corps filing and review, we will add a file with the appropriate agencies at that point, but I don't believe Adam has to review those filings on that end of it. We just received an email, I think it just came over today from Adam's office, stating that my client owes $1,300 to him still, and we weren't made aware of it until today. I know that we originally had a conversation. We were going to have a telephone conversation, and you had an emergency, so we pulled out and we never had it. And that conversation was to go over any other reviews or anything that you wanted Adam to continue on. And that was also at the time where I had stated that I don't believe that Adam has to review any of the other filings, only the filings with you folks.
Right. Your contention is you don't need an Army Corps and Engineer file, and that he doesn't need to review that if you do it. That's your contention. And
yeah,
of course, from our perspective, if it is required, but you're saying it's not required. I mean, I get that. And John, I do apologize. Right. I've been without staff for 2 months. I've been trying to take vacation. I've had a couple of emergencies, quite honestly, in the last 2 months. So I do apologize. Keeping in mind, you know, we're all volunteers here trying the best we can to do this. I understand your client wants to get this done. So is it that you would like me to do that? And if I will promise you that I can do this, meet with you and either Adam or Maria on Friday via phone if you would like, if that's what you want me to do.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I was thinking, because we've actually just been on hold for the last few months, and we thought that we closed out the hearing at the last hearing that we had 2 months ago, and I believe we're talking about issuing an order conditions, and obviously making it subject to any other permits that are required from Army Corps or Chapter 91.
Right.
I mean,
I didn't know, John. I'm sorry, John. I didn't know if you wanted specifically to talk about the fact that there's an outstanding bill, and so I didn't know if that's what it was. But you're right. Yes, we could certainly, we have done that. In fact, we can condition it so that should you require any other permits, that we would be able to review them. Now, let me just ask. And you're right. We closed the public hearing, and we were ready to move on, and we couldn't get access to the plan. You're absolutely right, Maria. From your side of things, other than the outstanding bill that I'm sure we can get taken care of, was there any obvious and/or outstanding? None of us here can make the determination whether he has to go to the Army Corps of Engineers. I think at the end of the day, that's right. And so, but again, I think it's a testament. It goes to the depth to which Environmental Partners Group will look into things to make us aware of all these things. So I think, again, that's a credit to you guys. And Maria, I'm going to ask you politely just to speak up just a little bit. You know I'm hard of hearing, dear, and I can't hear you. So is there anything else that sticks out in your mind relative to this? This has been going on a long time, and we do, if we're at that point where we can issue I was going to say a judgment. What am I thinking? If we can issue a determination on the permit, then I think we at least owe that to the applicant. We have dragged this on for a while, and I don't mean on purpose. A lot of peer review, a lot of changes went on. It's a difficult site, so in fairness, that's why a lot of this happened. But So could you answer that? Is there anything glaring or outstanding that needs to be addressed?
Yeah, so I think just to clarify, in our last review letter from, I think, April, we were not asking to review the Army Corps Chapter 91 permits.
Yep.
We just wanted to make the applicant aware that they might need to file for those and to make the commission aware
okay.
of that. The other two comments related to using a turbidity carton during installation of the retaining wall, and then providing a planting schedule for trees on site.
Right. So,
And-
John, I thought we agreed that you would have a turbidity curtain there and
Yep.
use that, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And I said we'd have no problem having that on there, so you can make that one of the conditions. And then on the planting schedule, at the next meeting right after this should be for the restoration of the area that they ripped out the trees and stuff.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. You said the next meeting after this. What did you mean?
There's a restoration plan on file that will be heard.
No, we've already approved that restoration plan.
No, you have not.
Have we not?
No, it's coming up right after this. We have to close out, and then because
hold on, John, just hear me out for half a second. But you say right after this, you mean on tonight's meeting?
Yeah,
It's not on our agenda. It's not on our agenda for tonight, John.
It should have been, because it was a
I'm
file.
not saying it shouldn't. I'm not saying that at all, right, John? What I'm saying is it's not listed on mine, and I will readily admit it could have been, or more than likely is a mistake, but it's not on my agenda here, so I can't do anything about that. But what we can do to close out this 41 Water Street is make it a condition that, because again, they can't do anything here until the enforcement order is addressed, and until that is mitigated. And you're right, we'll take that up at the next meeting. We'll get it squared away, whatever we need to do, John. Okay, because we're the ones who told you to do it. So. And we want you to get that enforcement on. And so that tree planting schedule is going to be, and restoration schedule is going to be included with that, correct?
Yes.
All right. So if we make this a condition, John, that you provide us with a tree planting schedule and all, and subject to our review as a condition, in addition to the condition of having turbidity curtain there, correct?
Right. And we filed that back in April.
John, I'm not saying any of that's not true. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we're at a Zoom meeting right now. I'm at my house. I'm not at the office to go in and see. It's not on our agenda. So clearly either we dropped the ball and had a mistake or something. But what I'm telling you is I can't do it. It's not on the agenda. So if there's a mistake on our end, I can let you know it's not going to cost you a dime. We owe up to our mistakes. If I need to re-advertise, I'll do that, whatever the case may be. But again, sounds like we're whining here a little bit, but I don't have a clerk, and it's very difficult to hire somebody for 10 to 12 hours a week at $16 an hour with no benefits. They're not, surprisingly enough, they're not knocking down the door. So we're trying to come up with a more of a global solution to that, so that we can have more of a full-time presence in there, or at least within the town hall. So if there's questions and these types of things don't happen. So John, I'm just telling you man to man, I'm going to apologize right now. If we drop the ball, that's on me, and I owe you a cup of coffee. But let's try and get through this 41 Water Street. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So as I hear it, Maria, I think were you done with those things? So it's the turbidity curtain, it's the requirement for a planting schedule, which again, I think we already have. It's been provided to us. You could certainly follow up, John, subject to Concom review, obviously. And the other requirement or condition would be that If you are required to file with the Army Corps of Engineers, that you would notify the Conservation Commission. We would have an opportunity to review that filing. Right?
Yeah.
Those are the three conditions.
Yes, those are the three.
Okay. All right. So that being said, and so we can move on. Does anybody from the Conservation Commission have any questions or comments or concerns? No.
I do not.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So that being said, I'll entertain a motion that what's the latest plan date, John, on that plan set date? Excuse me. I've got it here. I'm switching back and forth between the peer review and the notice of revised plans, additional revised plans, May 5th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, May 5th, my anniversary, if I'm not mistaken.
We
Let's
may,
see. Wait,
4th.
May 4th.
Yep,
That's the
May
revision?
4th.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, I'm not mistaken about my anniversary. It is May 5th. I was mistaken about the day on the
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just a clarification. On the documents in the, on the website, current filings, the date is May 5th. Okay, I don't know if John sent it on May 4th, but we received it on May 5th.
Yeah, I think, right. So that's the updated. So that would be the date that we got it and put it up on the website. So the plan date is what the date that the plan was actually created by the engineer. So when we approve it, they can go back and look at that specific. That's on the recorded instrument. So,
okay.
But you're right. That's why I saw the May 5th there. Okay.
Just so we don't have any confusion, because there's a lot.
No, you're absolutely right.
There's been a lot of confusion in this project, if you ask me, but.
No, not at all. I
agree. I will accept 25% of the blame. How about that?
That's
all
it.
Right, that being said, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the plans dated the May 4th, 2021 plans for 41 Water Street, proposed construction of single family home with garage and barn, with the following conditions: that should any additional filings be required relative to Wetlands Act and Riverways Act, that we be made aware of those and we be received a copy of those. Additionally, that a turbidity curtain be on scene, on site, and in use when necessary. And additionally, a tree planting and schedule must be provided to the Conservation Commission, subject to Conservation Commission review. And I'm going to add one more, that a diesel fuel spill kit be on site, and it needs to be one that is suitable for the type of vehicles and or machinery you have there. You can't go to Home Depot and get the little one in case you spill a jar of oil in your garage. You need to have the ones there. And I would also say that we would also need to have some absorption towels that they use to mitigate oil should it get into the water. If it gets in the water within that turbidity curtain, you can just throw those pads out there and that helps. I don't anticipate that's going to happen, but accidents happen. And so those would be the 4 conditions that I would recommend. Does anybody have any additional conditions?
Kevin, I actually do have one more from the letter. We recommended that all work be performed during low tide.
Yes.
The existing extent of the Asana River.
Oh, if I may, on that, I think say all work pertaining to the wall should be on.
Yes.
So that way the house construction can occur not only at low.
Yep. I got you, John. I had it in my head right away. And again, we had talked about this during the work's going to be done at low. You know, we're not bringing machinery into the water. We're not doing anything. Everything we're up. We're accessing from the upland, right? So to Maria's point, thank you very much, Maria. So a 5th additional condition would be that all work relative to the installation of the stone wall should be done in a time period 2 hours on either side of low tide, right? So you got a 4-hour window to work within, twice a day, depending on when low tide is for you, right?
Right.
Okay. Because I mean, and honestly, I could go to 3 hours, but at a certain point in time, and maybe we'll do 3 hours. That seems to be the normal everywhere. So 3
Yeah,
hours on either side of low
usually
tide.
is. Yeah.
Okay, so 3 hours either way, either side of low tide. You have the ability to be in there working. Once that happens, you leave the turbidity blanket, curtain in there and all protections in there, but no longer work can be done on that part of it. So, so those would be that's the 5 conditions now, right? All right, so I'll entertain a motion. Yeah? Anything else? No? All right. I'll entertain a motion to approve the plan set dated May 4th, 2021 with the aforementioned conditions relative to future filings, a tree schedule, turbidity curtain, low tide, and diesel or oil spill, a cleanup kit for both land and sea, if you will.
I'll initiate
So I
the
need that
motion.
motion. Thank you very much. I need a second.
I'll make the second.
Motion's been supported. If there's no further discussion on the motion, roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Chris Mather.
Aye.
Chris Mather, aye. Kevin Damaris, aye. John, again, give us a couple days to get this stuff written up for you, and I'll get it signed and to you. I will try to find out what happened with the public hearing for the
restoration.
for the restoration plan, and myself or Nils will get back to you tomorrow on that. Again, I apologize. When I didn't see it on here for some reason, I just, because we've been so busy, I thought we might have already done it. So anyway, all right, so we'll get back to you on that. Thank you very much. And again, items number 7 and number 8 have been continued to the August 2nd meeting. Item number 9, and Chris, I forgot to grab these from you before I left town hall. The names and all of the gatekeepers, do you have those applications and all?
Yes.
Okay, what were their names again? I know 2 of them. I just don't know the third one.
Mark Sylvia Jr.
Yep.
Sean Green and
Okay.
Tim Dacey. I don't know if that's how
Yeah, Tim Dacey. Yep, Tim Dacey. Okay, so if everybody remembers, some time ago, we had decided to, we had asked the selectmen and town meeting for funds to utilize to hire part-time seasonal help, more specifically part-time seasonal help at the Porter Pastures conservation area. We'd like to have, it's a gatekeeper position, so our hours of operation during the summer months, that is Memorial Day through Labor Day, is we are open dawn to dusk, okay, down there. So basically what does that mean? Closed overnight. We tried to put up locks and gates and chains, and those were either broken or damaged. And then we were asked to leave it open for access if we're not going to have it. And then somebody went and took it upon themselves, and I get why they do it. There is a certain frustration level down there with some, and it's not all the time, but it happens often enough with some activity down there that needs to be monitored. And you know, there's fishermen that go down there. Sometimes they can leave a mess, and so these folks would not only be responsible for opening and closing the gate in the morning and evening, but also driving down there, seeing if there's any tree falls across the road, if there's anything outstanding that needs to get done, if there's any a trash issue, we would have them either pick it up if it's small, or we would contact the highway barn to go down there and do it that way. And so it's interesting. I was out there a couple of weeks ago and I ran into Mr. Sylvia out there, and I told him about it. I don't know Mr. Green. Maybe I do. I think he's another gentleman that might live in that area. And Tim Dacey, he's a former seasonal cemetery worker, and he also does the beach and boat ramp here for the town now. And he's looking to pick up a few hours. So I didn't think it was necessary to, I mean, I've met some, one of them already works for the town. The other guy I've already met lives in the neighborhood, and I think that's Sean Green. I guess the question is, do we want to do full-fledged interviews we had talked about having at least 2, and if not 3, because, you know, that allows people to go away and not have to be there all day, and they can split the shift if they want. Somebody go in the morning, somebody go in the evening, that kind of deal. Is there a level of comfort in just appointing these folks pending whatever background check that is required by the town of Freetown? Or do you want to bring them in for an interview? Now, I will say this, we're already in the middle of July. If we do this, I don't want to wait till August 2nd. I would be scheduling a meeting probably for Friday just to bring these folks in so we can get somebody appointed. We're already halfway through summer. I want to get these guys and these people appointed so we can get that chain up or the gate up so we can start, well, at least making it a bit safer down there for everybody and not having the issues. So I'll do whatever anybody wants. Do you want to bring them in for interviews, or do we want to just appoint them pending successful background checks?
I don't need to be involved in an interview.
Yeah.
Kevin, if you feel comfortable with it, I feel comfortable with it.
Well, the two of them, if you want, what I'll do is, and we can do the third one, Sean, since I have not had a conversation with this person, I'll reach out to them. And again, we're not asking heavy lifting here. Somebody goes down there in the morning just after sunrise and opens up the gate, unlocks it. Somebody goes there in the evening. There's been many different individuals. Junior Resendiz used to do it a long time ago faithfully, right? And for a while, I think some of the police officers might have done it out of the goodness of their hearts at times. And even, but the problem is that some of the activity down there rises to the level that was concerned. And so we don't just want the neighborhood people going down there and saying, hey, get out of here. We need to give these folks some sort of authority. I don't mean authority, badge and gun authority. I mean authority that they are working under the auspices of the town of Freetown. And they have, so we had to do the very same thing with Richard Brown, who volunteers his time on the cemetery down there, but was not afforded any of the protections that the town would offer if he removed something and somebody got upset or what have you. So I'll say this, I'll entertain a motion again to appoint Mark Sylvia, Tim Dacey, pending successful background checks, and appoint Sean Green pending a successful background check and interview with the chairman.
Hey, Kevin, I'm going to make the motion, but before I do that, I do have a question, maybe 2 questions. So what's the budget that the town's established to do this? And what, obviously I know the date period, but have they established a dollar amount, not an hourly amount, but a dollar amount to accomplish this?
Okay. Now you're going to put me on the spot. I know what we're paying them per hour, and I know that we had enough money to pay the 3, I think, people to do a couple hours a day for the duration. I can follow up with that
rough
exact
estimate,
number.
just like like a high and a low. I mean, is it like $2,000, $5,000?
Yeah. So it's less than 5. I believe it's less than 5.
Okay.
I can find out exactly for you.
Yeah, and I'm totally fine with this as long as whoever.
$5,500.
Okay.
I'm laughing because as we're talking about this, I get a text with the exact amount. So we're not alone, folks. At least one other person is watching.
Okay. And then the other alternative, if this doesn't work out this year, and I think it will, is, for that kind of money, we could invest in technology that would involve some surveillance cameras and a Wi-Fi connection via cellular or some other device, satellite. And then that could go directly to the police department, and they have someone sitting there at the desk of the dispatch. And then if they see some suspicious activity, they can immediately dispatch an armed law enforcement agent that's trained to deal with people that misbehave, as opposed to someone we're paying minimum wage.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's why in this instance, And that's why I need to, because I've talked to Mr. Sylvia, he understands the role. I talked to Tim, he understands the role. I'm assuming this Mr. Green has spoken with Mr. Sylvia and he understands the role, but I need to make it clear. This is not an enforcement. I'm not asking them to go down there and try to kick anybody out that doesn't have a sticker or anything like that. If they go down and they notice those types of things, we are asking them to contact the police, as they are the body that can enforce those. Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I look at the liability too.
No, you're absolutely right.
You know, say they go to do
because
something and somebody has a gun and there's a shooting and there's a murder, wrongful. You know, I just think of these things because that's the environment we live in today. It's sad, but that's the reality of it. So.
And it's the same conversation we had to have with the cemetery employees. You know, you go down there, while you work for, and listen, if it gets to any kind of an enforcement, this, that, and the other, you know what? This is when we call the police. This is when we call the chairman of the conservation or the chairman of the cemetery commission. Okay.
And I'm laughing at myself. I'm gonna approve this because I know this steps outside of the bounds of the Wetlands Protection Act, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna make that motion.
All right, I appreciate that.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Motion being supported. There's no further discussion on the motion. Hearing none. Roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Chris Mather.
Aye.
Chris Mather, aye. Kevin Damaris states aye. So motion passes unanimously. I will follow up with Mr. Green, and then I will follow up with asking the selectmen to have these undergo whatever background checks we require of these sorts of employees. And then I will get back to you with whether they were successful or not. All right. Next on our agenda, and this is going to be something for your at-home consumption. It was sent out this afternoon at some point in time. This is a correspondence from the open space consultant. As you know, we appointed Mike McHugh as our open space consultant a while ago. He has provided us with a very in-depth and detailed report that was sent to everybody. I would like you all to look at it. I don't know if Mike is on our is participating in our meeting tonight. If he is, he can say yes. If not, what he's asked us to do is, oh, Jesus, God, you are here. You're very clear. Some of the other ones weren't, and you went right through me. So, Mike, in fairness, we just got all this information this afternoon. If you want to give us a brief overview, and then we can review it and maybe talk about it in more in depth at our next meeting if we have to, or how do you want to proceed, Mike?
Take your time. I sent it so you could read it and digest it. Take your time.
Okay. So then, Mike, I may ask you, should we have any questions or want follow-up, I may ask you to come back to our next meeting if you're available to discuss any of that. So, gentlemen, it was sent to you today. Please just look at it. There's a lot of good information in there. He works hard at it. And just so anyone else who might be out there listening, Mike is doing this out of the goodness of his heart. He's volunteering for this position so that he continued some of the work that he did while he was clerk with us and on the Conservation Commission. So kudos to Mike and thanks again. Minutes. Have we gotten any of the minutes, Nils?
I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
Those ones are still
I don't remember
from...
getting the, no, right, from Victoria or from the prior meeting. So let's make sure that we, because we got to get them done within a certain time. Let's make sure we get those done and ready for our next meeting. Send them out when they're done so people can review them. Okay. I think I signed the bills, yesterday? There was one bill, wasn't it? You had
It
me
was
sign?
for planning, but
no, that was for planning board, so not for Concom. All right. Does anybody else have anything to properly come before the commission? All right. Gentlemen, thank you again. I know these are tedious by Zoom, but let's hope we don't have to do this very many more times. So that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
I will support the motion.
Thank you. Motion is supported to adjourn. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote. Charlie Sullivan.
Aye.
Charlie Sullivan, aye. Chris Mather.
Aye.
Chris Mather, aye. Kevin Damaris, aye. Thank you, Maria. If you were still here, I don't know. I should have sent you home a while ago. Thanks, Nils, Chris, and Charlie and Mike. So, all right, have a good night. Be safe, everybody. Let me know if you have any Any other concerns?
Good
All
night.
right. Take care.
Good night.